Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 184 for Tuesday, the 31st of October 2023. I'm your host, Mark Webb, gamertag Webby360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is...
And it's Graham, or GHAM0x14.
And Symphony Switch.
How's it going? All good,
well.
people? Yeah?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
So, Darren, you missed us last week. You didn't join us.
Yeah, I had a random rare week off.
I was, we missed you, shall we say.
We did.
But you were in London.
I did listen to it yesterday a bit. Yes, I was. Yeah, I was up in Hammersmith.
What were you doing in Hammersmith then?
Oh, I was attending the Eorzean Symphony, which is the Final Fantasy XIV specific orchestral concert.
Oh, so was that quite a big one, or was it quite a small venue?
The Hammersmith Apollo, or the Eventim Apollo as it's known, it's a reasonable size event, venue. I'd say sort of medium size. It's not like your Royal Albert Hall or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they've got a good sound system there, so it all carries well. And you have been there, Webby, as well.
Have I?
Yeah, we went there for Video Games Live.
Oh, it was there. That's quite a decent sized place then. Okay.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. It was the BBC Orchestra.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
The ones actually performing. And obviously the game director Yoshi P was there, and the sound director Soken was there as well, alongside Koji Fox, who's like the translator for everything.
Wicked. That sounds good.
Yeah, it was cool. Really, really good. A couple of the performers were there as well that do the songs for parts of the game.
Brilliant.
So one of the female vocalist who does all the stuff from like Heavensward onwards. You know, sometimes when you listen to people live and you can tell they're live because they don't sound quite the same.
Right.
Yeah. She sounded immaculate. Like she's one of those artists that sound just as good live as they do like when you're listening to a professionally recorded studio piece.
That's quite rare these days, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. They played most of like my favourite tracks, or the ones I was hoping they was going to play, and a few extra sort of surprises. The only downside is that the show went on for almost 3 hours. Wow. Yeah, that is good. But when you've got like last train leaving in 40 minutes to get home, and it's sort of like, and they're screeching encore and that, and trying to carry on, and I'm like, what the hell? So as soon as they finished like their final bows on the stage and everything, I was literally on the aisle, so I literally just sprinted out, like ducked out, sprinted up the side of the aisle and like out the fire escape into the street, basically. Wow. Straight over into the station.
Why trains so shit in this country? They stop really early and always on fucking strike.
It's kind of random and weird, and I get it that most shows do finish to enable people to get trains back and stuff. Yeah. But there are ones where you kind of cut it a bit close.
Yeah.
And if like it literally was the last train, because if I'd have missed that one, the next one's at like 6:15 in the morning or something.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I got home at around 1:25 in the morning.
That's not too bad.
It is, but part of me at one point was thinking, oh, well, doors open at like 7, the show must start at 8, it'll be done by 10.
Yeah.
I'll probably be at home by about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and in bed. And there it was an hour and a half later, just getting in.
Well, at least you had a good time, though, mate. That's the main thing.
It was fantastic. Yeah, it's one of those ones where, as much as I enjoy doing the Distant Worlds, this was obviously completely different sort of musical stuff. And these are done so few and far between compared to Distant Worlds. Like Distant Worlds usually comes around every couple of years. I mean, how many have you been to now? 2 or 3?
Yeah, we've been to a few, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed it. There was one this year. I missed it. Was it last year? I can't remember now.
Yeah, there was one I think I missed because I didn't realise what it was, and I think you mentioned it, and I was like, "When's that happening?" It's like, "Oh, and like happened last week or something."
Yeah,
I didn't realise because it's one of those things. Like with a lot of the video game music concerts or things of this genre, unless you've got your ear to the ground and you know about it, or someone else you know knows about it, you'll never know these things actually go on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I only remember knowing about some of the Distant Worlds because you've brought it up, and then I think you brought up before years ago, obviously when like the video games live thing happened, because I think that's only ever been to London a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
Because these shows usually, they did do a fair bit of merch, I suppose, but the only piece of merchandise I picked up from this show I went to was a virus. From some random person who thought that it would be a nice present for me to fall ill for the next week. But yeah, that unfortunately happens when people are all crammed together. And to be honest, if someone had a cold or whatever and they were like, "I'm still going to the concert," I wouldn't begrudge them.
No.
Because it's not like you can go, I'll just go to the next one in a month's time or whatever. Like, for all you know, it could be the last time you ever see them. And it was like the one, God, I can't remember how many years ago it was now, but they did a special orchestral rendition of music from the Elder Scrolls series.
Oh, nice.
Which I think was being promoted from Game or via Game, and I think it might have been something you pointed me towards, Webby. Or it might have even been on a game newsletter or something I had in an email. But that was actually taking part. I don't know the theatre, but it's off Oxford Street, and it's where they used to do Andrew Lloyd Webber's Starlight Express. It was that theatre.
Right.
So that I'd say that one was smaller than the Hammersmith Easy. But there was legal issues with it because obviously they were playing a lot of Jeremy Soule's music, or Soul, I'm not entirely too sure how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
But he never gave them the rights to actually perform it.
Right. Okay.
So it was kind of a weird, tweaked renditions of them.
Right. Okay.
I know there was quite a few famous YouTubers there because Jacksepticeye was one of the people that actually came out and was introducing all the stuff at the beginning. And this was the first show they were doing before they went on a sort of like tour.
Okay.
And in fact, it was the only show they ever did.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right.
They never did another one after that because I think they either run into legal issues or something. I do not know, but I never heard of any more past that.
Mm.
But that was fantastic because obviously the Elder Scrolls series is another game lot that I adore the music for. It's just so chilling and relaxing, and hearing obviously some of my favourite songs in that as well was fantastic. And they worked their way like they did in this one. They worked their way through the original game, through Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and then the second half of the show was Endwalker and Shadowbringers and Endwalker. Sorry.
Nice.
And with the Elder Scrolls, they went through Morrowind and then into Oblivion and then into Skyrim.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Thing. So yeah, if you like your video game musics and stuff, they're always like hard to keep an eye out for. But when you find them, spring on them because they don't happen that often.
Yeah, and they sell out really quick, don't they? Yeah.
I'd say if it's at the Royal Albert Hall, that's a bonus because if you've never been there, it's a really nice venue anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Apart from the fact it is a bit dodgy. If you're not a fan of heights and you're up in them in the nosebleeds, because it's quite a sort of like a staggering drop, isn't it? Like, not like when you're in a cinema and like it goes up the rows. No, this is almost like steps. The seats are almost in steps, aren't they?
Wow.
Going up.
Yeah, I remember we went one year to the Distant Worlds, and Mrs. was heavily pregnant. She was on crutches, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do those seats. So we'll just give you a box." So yeah, we got a box of bloody.
Yeah,
awesome.
I remember that. I was at that one.
Yeah. It was bloody good. That was getting that box.
One way to get an upgrade.
I should have been with the seats where you were because I wasn't. I was separate over another part.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it was
In
awesome.
fact, if I remember, didn't one of those distant worlds we went to, like one of the really first ones, weren't they promoting the beta for 14 at that event?
Not anyone that I've been to.
Because you used to get like the like a pack, didn't you, when you went in with like leaflets and stuff like that were on the seats. And I'm pretty sure one of those leaflets had stuff on there for it.
Oh, right. I don't recall, mate, to be honest.
Possible, I suppose.
It was a long time ago. I've slept since then. Nice, mate. I'm glad you had a good time anyway.
Oh, yeah, fantastic time.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. Expensive, but that's how it goes sometimes, because it's most of the stress, to be honest, with these kind of shows is pretty much like almost any show. It's when the actual blooming things go on sale and you're sitting online trying to get tickets.
Yeah.
And I'd obviously missed out on tickets for the actual fan festival, so I was just like, no, please don't let me lose out on the symphony concert tickets. And it was almost like one of those, and the meme, I can't remember what the meme's from, and they're gone meme.
Yeah.
Never think, well, it was like servers are up and they're gone. You just think, no fucking way. But it's weird because a lot of times when you do book these tickets, the servers have like a bit of an aneurysm. Because there's so many people cramming it to try and get the tickets at the same time that it's not actually fully giving you the real gist of what's going on.
No. Was it one of those that puts you in a queue?
Yes. I think you was in a queue and then you basically went to pay for it, and then when you went to pay for it, it said they're all sold out. And then you refresh, and then you're sold out, and then you refresh, sold out, and then you see like 20 seconds later, I've got my tickets, keep refreshing, keep retrying, guys, they're there. And then you just have to just keep going and hope that you can actually get them through. I mean, I was originally going for the cheaper seats, but I ended up getting like the medium price seat.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'd have quite liked one of the really nice ones along the front, actually. That would have been really good. It wasn't too bad. I was only about 4 or 5 rows back from the front.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's decent, man.
It's a good venue, though. I like that venue.
It took me a while to realise as well when I first went in, because as soon as you go in, you've got like the merchandise stalls to the left and right and behind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is everyone just congregating around here? Like, fair enough, we've got the merchandise stalls. And I was like, that's why you've got the bar, and I'm in the stalls, and the stalls are still closed at the moment. So they're letting people go up into the balcony, but they had people blocking off all of the stall section, and obviously everyone's just conglomerated in that bit down the bottom for the stalls.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But yeah, I'm so used to being up in the nosebleeds when it comes to concerts and stuff because it's cheaper tickets.
Makes sense, yeah.
So let's talk about some games rather than some game music.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll start then, I guess, as usual. Let's start with. I won't start with anything new. I'm going to talk about 2 games very briefly, so then they're out of the way. So, Forza. It's still. I'm still enjoying it, but it's still fucking broken. So they need to fucking fix it. I'm telling you now, it needs to be fixed.
PC still,
and Xbox.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I've had a few times where it's crashed to dashboard or not loaded the actual race this week on the Xbox as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so you do your qualifying, and then you're waiting for the race to load in. Then when the race loads in, you just see all the cars on the grid, and then it just doesn't load. So then you're like, oh fuck's sake. Um, so that's
Not
annoying.
good.
No, it's not good at all. So not impressed with that. But yeah, still enjoying it. But people still race like arseholes as well, dirty as fuck. But obviously it's online, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been doing quite a lot of iRacing this week. So I've had the wheel out. I did some live streaming on Saturday afternoon on
Cool.
Twitch. A couple of races. It did okay, but it was just a good laugh. I've started playing it without the racing line now, just using my
Oh
wits
wow.
to learn the braking zones and stuff, and it's made it a lot more difficult, but a lot more realistic. And I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it now. So it's
Yeah.
quite rewarding when you can do that, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm really into iRacing at the minute, really enjoying it. You know, and I'm just kind of that's my serious game, and Forza's my game of just pick up the controller and have a few races when it works, you know.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I'm not going to talk about them anymore because I talked about them quite a bit the last couple of weeks. But Forza's still good, but they need to fucking fix it. The end. So
I mean, look at how long it took them to sort out Redfall, but then they eventually went around and did it. So
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's nice and quick from me there anyway. So Graham.
Well, I was looking for a Halloween-inspired game to play,
Oh
and
yes.
I saw that Game Pass has added the remaster of Dead Space, and
Mm.
it's been a very, very long time since I played Dead Space, and I don't know if I ever even completed it. I mean, this is back on the 360, I think, so
yeah.
however long ago that was. But they've by all accounts, I don't remember the original well enough to know how they've changed it, but apparently they've kind of rejigged some of the areas. They've added a central kind of like a quick travel system. There's a monorail between areas, which allows for quicker traversal. And they've tweaked it and they've made it a bit more pretty, and they've sort of optimized it and smoothed it out. And it's yeah, it's a thoroughly entertaining, very, very atmospheric. I mean, the visuals are very, very good. Obviously, you're going through areas where you've kind of got like, particle effects and smoke, and the lights aren't working, and
Mm-hmm.
circuitry is sort of shorting out, and you're getting sparks. But also, the audio design is absolutely outstanding on this game. There's no music as such, but you do have sort of background noises, things going on behind you. You'll walk into a room and something will disappear in a corner, or did you see something over there? Do you know what I mean? And it will sort of play with your expectation. I mean, the only thing I found though is after a while, I was going into a room and I'm like, oh, there's an interesting pickup in front of me, right at the end of this corridor. I reckon by the time I get there, the lights will probably go out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? How they play with the tension. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact's on Game Pass. I'd say this game is definitely worth checking out. It's the combat's good. I feel like I've got further with it than I have with playing it the previous time. And I do think the way the map works on this is really, really good, because I don't know if you remember, you do have a map, but what you can do is you can set your waypoint and you can just kind of click the right stick in, and it will basically show a trail in the world, sort of pointing you in the direction to go.
Yeah.
So it'll kind of like overlay sort of like an illuminated line saying this is the way you need to go, which I found quite good because it means that you're actually spending more time in the world than you are sort of in the menu looking where to go, and it just sort of made it feel that a little bit more immersive.
Yeah. Oh,
But
brilliant.
no,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying going around, and I mean, I think somebody was saying that they've upgraded the sort of the system where you can basically lop off, you can basically cut off most of the monsters' limbs if you want to go to that extreme.
Yeah.
The sort of the destruction, I think they've sort of they've given it a coat of polish which it didn't have before, and most of the monsters sort of have 4 limbs, and you can pretty much blast them all off if you want to.
Well,
But
yeah.
no,
Because I played it a few months ago, and I remember really enjoying it because I hadn't played it for such a long time.
yeah,
I've forgotten how good it was because I think on the 360 it was kind of ahead of its time, you know.
yeah, definitely. But no, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, I know that team went on and they did. They went on. Some of the guys did Callisto Protocol, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which had very mixed reviews, and I have played it only for about half an hour, but I found the combat to be absolutely dreadful in that game, to be honest.
It is weird. It takes a lot to get used to.
Yeah, but no, this game it just feels like a complete package, and there's nothing that they've done here that feels like it doesn't sort of belong. Do you know what I mean? It just sort of it almost feels like it was the game that it was always meant to be. But no, I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'll probably see it through to completion. Actually,
Yeah, it is a fantastic game, and I think they did a really good job with the remake because they redid the whole game, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So I'm glad it's on Game Pass now, so more
yeah. I
people
mean,
can enjoy it.
absolutely. Yeah, I think everybody should give it a go, and it's perfect Halloween game, really.
Yeah,
No, worth checking out. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, really.
awesome, Darren.
Yeah, well, might as well get a bit of negative out of the way, I suppose. Personally,
Oh dear.
so I don't know. Did anyone talk about Spider-Man 2 last week?
Very
No.
briefly, I
Ah,
think.
right.
I think yeah, because I talked about. I mean, I hadn't obviously I've not played it, but
Ah,
yeah.
fair.
Go
So yeah,
for it.
I've played it. I haven't
And
finished it. Basically, it's not as good as the first game.
Oh, that's a
It's
shame.
not. Well, I chalk it up to the fact I've now got to the point I've said to a lot of my friends that I don't want them to do a Ghost of Tsushima 2
right.
because every single sequel to a really good PlayStation game I've enjoyed, I've not liked it anywhere near as much as the first one.
God of War?
No, I thought Ragnarok wasn't as good as the first one. In fact, I
Oh
got
really?
bored of Ragnarok and never even finished it.
Wow.
So I'm
Like
quite
I just
surprised, Darren, because it's sold really well. I think it's one of the best-selling PlayStation games at launch now, isn't it? You know.
Is it really though? Is it really though? Like,
Well,
I don't believe this. Like, I
no.
actually think this is a bit of fabricated nonsense. To be perfectly honest, it might be for like the one-day sales, but
Right.
the original Spider-Man on PS4 is like one of, if not their biggest selling exclusive on PlayStation. It's like sold something like 33, 34 million copies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was obviously on the PS4, PS4 Pro, and all of that kind of stuff. And there were millions and millions and millions of those systems out in the wild when the game was out.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
one of the latter titles for the system,
Yeah.
and they're only really just starting to get X amount of PS5s out there, and
Yeah.
there's still like not even half the sales of the original PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And them saying this is the biggest like of a first party game, I'm like, I don't know, because there has obviously been a lot of negativity around the game as well. which has been one of the things that has actually kind of pissed me off with the game personally.
Yeah.
I have never seen a game try and pander so much to so much shit.
Welcome to the Pandaverse.
It almost felt like that when I'm playing it. It might as well just be called Box Ticking Simulator.
Wow.
2023.
I have seen a lot of this online, and it's made me shake my head.
Some of it's fine. Some of it's there in the first game. If it's literally there in the real world and they're doing a 1-to-1 thing of New York and all of that lot, fine. That's fine. Right. Go for it. But when you start turning established characters gay, you have like weird side quests where you're helping gay kids like sort of get together and all this. Like you've got fucking flags everywhere for like the 98 million made up genders that people apparently fucking identify as. Jazz hands clapping because clapping is triggering to people. Yeah, that's in the game. That's in the fucking game. People spraying fucking graffiti about racism and shit. It's just, oh my god.
Wow.
Like, it all just pulls you out of it. Like, I play games for escapism and entertainment. I don't want, like, fucking Twitter in my game.
Wow.
Basically.
I did see... I did see something about how the Spanish are upset because they're using... There's people speaking Spanish in the game, but they're using Latinx language, or whatever the fuck it is.
They butchered the language. They made up their own language. And do you know why?
No, go on, tell us.
Because that language uses masculine and feminine words.
No.
And we can't have masculine and feminine. We've got to have like something in between.
All inclusive.
Doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. So they just made up words.
No.
And slotted them into the language so they couldn't be caught. I don't know. I don't know what kind of people they have in these companies now. I really fucking don't.
Do you know what's really weird though? Like, so I was looking online and, you know, it just comes up on my Twitter and socials and stuff like that. So apparently there is a version of Spider-Man 2 that come out in the Middle East which doesn't have any of this.
Yeah, best game version.
But
that's what it should be called.
but this is the hypocrisy, right? So when Spider-Man came out, modders put a mod on Nexus mods to replace the LGBT flags with the American flag. And the modders who put those mods on Nexus mods got banned and the mods got taken down. Yet the company themselves take all that stuff out for different countries anyway, and it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seems
they've got no morals. Yeah. Like you either stick to your guns and you don't sell it in those territories and you take the financial hit.
Yeah.
Or you stick your propaganda and stuff in the game.
Yeah.
And then remove it for someone else because you want their money.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just bizarre.
But this is the world we're living in now, and you can't speak against it because you're transphobic. So I'm expecting some hate mail after this podcast goes live now.
Well, it's just like the game itself is fine.
Yeah.
But all of that kind of stuff just pulls you out.
It does, yeah.
Because you're kind of aging it per se. Like there's a lot of films that you can watch now. They're timeless. You go back and you watch them, and there's nothing there that makes you think, "Oh, this is that year. This is that era. This is blah blah blah." Per se.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like putting in like weird stuff into things that just age it. So you can think back and go, do you remember when everyone was fucking stupid? Do you remember when people couldn't take a joke? Do you remember when no one had a sense of humour?
Yeah.
Do you remember when everyone was treading around on eggshells trying not to offend a single fucking person? Bizarre.
Yeah.
The game itself, like I said, it's fine. It's fun. Flying around the city and zipping about and doing all that lot is kind of good. The whole switching between Miles and Spider-Man mechanic it's okay. It's well done.
Yeah.
It does fit with the story, but at the same time, part of me's like, this is just a way for them to show off how quickly it can change between the two different characters across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Per se, the combat I don't find as good as the first one. I think it's overcomplicated, and maybe there was rose-tinted glasses as well with the original a fair bit here and there. Because if you've ever played a Platinum game, say like a Bayonetta or like a Devil May Cry or something, the combat in those games is far superior, and it also uses less buttons.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as like weirdly complicated, and the game isn't shouting certain things at you of like, oh, here's this enemy, you've got to do this move. Here's this enemy, you've got to do that move. Here's this enemy, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do that. Because you do get a lot of these games with like a flea-throwing kind of combat thing, and then all of these games end up being like, you just want to be able to do the moves what you want to do and string the combos together you want to do. Well, tough shit. Here's this enemy, you've got to do this to that enemy, you've got to do this to that enemy, and you've got to do that to that enemy. So you're automatically restricting the combat to only be able to do certain things against certain enemies, which could throw off your entire flow. And as per se, it's a bit similar to the first one. You've got a lot of the enemies running around using like ranged weapons like guns and stuff, and you go down fucking quick if you're getting hit as well, I will say, like when you're getting shot, just like you did in the first game.
Yeah.
So it's a good game. If you liked the original game and you liked Miles Morales, you're probably going to love this. But for me personally, it was just a sort of like an annoying sort of thing where maybe certain things I let go in the original because we're now, in my opinion, we're now entering into Sony doing exactly what everyone was accusing Microsoft of doing during the Xbox One's initial era. Oh, they're just making another Gears, they're just making another Forza, they're just making it. That's exactly what Sony are doing now.
Yeah.
And they're doing the exact same thing. Like, oh, look, the Gears games got worse as they went on. The Halo games got worse as they went on. And it's happening with Sony's licenses as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a shame because I always used to get excited for a new Sony exclusive, and then, I bought that not Gears of War, God of War. That's the word I'm looking for. And I played it literally for about 2 hours, and I haven't picked it back up again. And usually I'd rinse those sort of games, And I hadn't even been excited for the new
familiarity of like you've played it before.
Yeah, and like the new Spider-Man, I've played one and Miles Morales or what the hell it was called, and I enjoyed them, and I didn't even know about any of the woke bullshit in 2, and I wasn't even interested in it then. So
also, kind of, I think it's possibly going to suffer a bit from too much like shit going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I like things to be like reasonably grounded per se with the amount of characters in it.
Yeah.
But then I've got a feeling this is going to get like ridiculous the more it goes in. So it'll probably be like, oh, and there's this character and that character and this character and that character.
Yeah.
Like I get things like that work for things like Arkham Asylum, etc., because you're in a thingy, and I still think Arkham Asylum is probably one of, if not the best superhero game I've played.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it still has one of the best combat systems ever made. And that's in a game like from 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And even to me, I know a lot of people love City. I still think Arkham Asylum is a far superior game. Because it's more condensed and it's smaller. I don't necessarily want to have this huge, vast open area of running around thinking, am I in the right place at the right time to answer this phone call? Am I doing this challenge or that thing over there? it kind of felt a bit much.
Yeah.
They lost me at tank stealth.
Oh no, that was in Arkham Knight, wasn't it? That was
that
the
was
third
Arkham
one,
Knight.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah. But no, they seemed to get less focused as they went on. I know what you're saying. They weren't sort of tight experiences, were they? Really?
A lot. I just remember Arkham Asylum, like when that came out, just being absolutely blown away by that, and I almost couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
That's because it was new and fresh. You know, we hadn't seen anything like that before.
Mm. And you couldn't ever get lost. You were just all in the confines of the mental home or facility, as it were, like the prison, etc.
Yeah.
All in the one thing, and you obviously had the rogues gallery of people that were in there. Again, not all of them were in there, just a select handful, and they were perfectly fine, and they were utilised well.
Yeah.
Especially a couple that sort of pop up that you necessarily weren't expecting. But yeah, sorry to be so negative. I know there's probably loads of people out there that are like, I love Spider-Man, it's game of the year and everything. Good for you, but for me, I kind of put it on, and the more I played of it, the more I kind of was put off.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I haven't bought it as well, because I know I would just bitch about it. So, yeah. All good, man. Oh, is it back to me again, is it?
I believe so.
All right. Another game I'm not going to talk about loads. Darren's probably played it as well a little bit. Diablo 4.
Yeah, I have been playing.
Nice. I've been playing this loads this season. My character is up to level 48 now, which is the same level my original character got to when I finished the game. So,
it much further then from when I played with you last, because I think it was 46 or 45.
Yeah, I'm actually just fighting Lord Xur at the minute. If you know, if you've done that,
I haven't got that far yet. Actually, I've just done the bit where I had to prove myself by fighting in the Blood Harvest.
Oh yeah, it took me bloody ages. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't work out what I was supposed to be doing, and then I noticed, there's a bar that's slowly going up the longer I'm in it and the more I'm doing. So
yeah,
I guess that's what I do. I was partly wondering if I had to go to that, like what we did when we was playing the 4-player, and we went to stick like the 50 of the blood lures in each of those altars to summon the big boss thing. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing it loads. I mean, as I say, as I keep on saying, and I don't care if you're getting bored about it. I've been playing it a lot on my Steam Deck, just chilling on the sofa, which is perfect for doing stuff like the thing in the Blood Harvest that we had to do. Just running around and killing shit. So I've been doing that a lot on the Steam Deck. Really enjoying it. We're going to be doing another co-op session Wednesday or Thursday, according to the Discord. So if you're up for it, let me know. But yeah, the last one we did last week, it was 4 of us on, and we had a right blast on it, just mashing falls. It was a good time. It's really weird how I've really got into it again, because obviously, as I've said before, the season 1 I couldn't be arsed with. But this season, I think they've done a really good job of it, to be honest.
It depends. I must admit, at the start, I didn't like it compared to the previous season.
Okay.
There was a couple of things where I was just like, I liked the bounty board stuff, and where you work your way up the hunter ranks by doing all those different bits and bobs.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still one issue with the game that I still find frustrating to this day.
Oh, what's that?
And that is the fact you choose your starting move, don't you? Which is your basic attack, which is also your shittest attack.
Yeah.
And then you choose other moves that use your resources, which are basically the only moves worth doing.
Yeah.
And then while you're playing the game, you will hear this. I haven't got enough to do that move. This skill isn't ready yet. I can't do that yet. I haven't got enough of this yet. I can't do that. And you're just literally just and you're just thinking, this is shit. Like, you're not actually having fun when you're doing that. Like, when you're so focused on your resource management and it constantly runs out. And as far as I can remember, in the previous games, it wasn't necessarily your resource; it was your mana, wasn't it, or your magic?
Yeah.
And you had your own potions to refill that, didn't you?
Yes, you did. Whereas on this one, as you say,
don't. Yeah. So when you run out, you can't do fucking anything apart from your just standard basic attack, which is shit.
Yeah, I'm enjoying being the wizard at the minute though, because the mana does refill pretty quick.
The mana the regeneration for your resources is all tied to one of your stats, so it does actually sort of explain. But I will say that is still my worst part of the game. It's almost like you're having fun when you're chaining all your moves together and doing all your bits and bobs. But then when that all runs out and you're sat there with that like massive mana drain and you're just waiting and you can't do fuck all because either everything's on a cooldown or you've got no mana to do any move and you're just literally just like one button in like some enemy and it's taking you about 20 hits to kill one person because your standard attack is just shit.
But apart from that, it is fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Everything else, I love it. The atmosphere, like the visuals are fantastic. The atmosphere is fantastic. Everything else in the game is really, really good. But that is still an issue that I just keep running into. The only class I didn't run into that often on was Necromancer.
Well, I've not done that one yet. So.
Because you don't really... It's not as bad, because obviously while you're sitting there going, I've got no mana, I'm down to my single button attack, it doesn't matter because you've got 13 minions running around frosting in their faces, so you could probably just walk around doing nothing while your minions do all the work.
Yeah.
Per se. So no, I can't remember who was in our group. Someone was in our group, wasn't there, the other day that was playing Necro, and he was
Frosty.
Absolutely loving it.
Yeah,
was it Frosty?
Yeah. But, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know why. I'm just loving just going on and just mowing down Forza. I'm liking the new little bit of story they've put in it, from for the vampire stuff, So I think that's
the good
cool.
thing is you still haven't even got to any of the end game stuff yet, so you're going to be getting to that soon.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting to your Paragon nodes and then choosing your Paragon boards and then running your different like Nightmare and Ancestral dungeons to level up your sigils for your boards and stuff. So you get far more control on decking your character out and making them specialise down a route that you kind of want to take them in when it comes to all of the Paragon stuff a bit later on.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that, and I say it's just cool because there's a few people in the Discord who are all playing it, and it was just fun, just arranging some co-op sessions and just running around the world together, and it's just a bit more social, It's good fun
and funny as well at times.
Oh God, yeah, it really is. Yeah. So really enjoying playing it again, and
cool.
I'm now level 49, so one level away.
On my shopping list. It's on my shopping list.
Yeah, I will say, if you think you're getting, you won't get any stat point or whatever when you get from 49 to 50.
Okay.
So don't be expecting another point to put into any of your skills or passives.
Right. Okay. No worries.
So yeah, unfortunately, it always works out that way, where you kind of, when you're choosing some of your passive abilities after you've done out all the ones you want, you don't even have enough points to put into those to fill them all out the way you want. So you might just be like ending up with like, I can only put one in that node, but it's still better than nothing kind of thing.
Yeah. No, cool, man. No, I'm enjoying it. So it's all good. It's all good. So at least I'm getting my money's worth now. So
Yeah, I mean, it's been on sale. I know you guys again talked about it on last week's show.
Yeah.
Briefly, where you can pick it up for around 30, 35 quid now if you shop about.
yeah,
Or if you wait probably until January next year, it'll probably be on Game Pass.
Yeah, which is good because I bought it. I bought the Ultimate Edition on PC and then the Standard Edition on Xbox. So I spent a lot of money on this game. So trying to get my money's worth out of it as much as I can.
Awesome.
Yeah, good times. Anyway, we'll get back to Graham.
The next game I've been playing, I went on to Game Pass and I wanted something else vaguely sort of Halloween themed. So I went with State of Decay 2. I was curious about this. I'd played the first one quite a lot on the Xbox 360, and I think I'd played quite a lot of it co-op as well. And I think this is like it's like a remastered, I think. It's an open world. It's third person, and it's kind of a resource management stroke going out and sort of doing sort of supply runs, looking for kind of raw materials, looking for medical supplies, looking for tools, and you bring them back to your base and you improve your base. And as your base gets bigger, you get more facilities, you get the ability to kind of repair cars, you get an infirmary where if anybody's injured, they can sort of be healed, or if they've been bitten by a zombie, they can be cured. But it's sort of 50-50, going out on runs to basically secure materials, exploring the open world, sort of scoping out locations, finding points of interest, and then bringing it back and sort of improving your base. And it's sort of partially sort of like a survival simulator, partially a sort of zombie third person sort of target practice, if you like. But yeah, I found this quite interesting. I don't know why. It's not the world's most sort of enthralling or riveting game, but I just remember the first one sort of really sucked me in, and I just remember finding myself getting sort of quite addicted to it, really, and getting a little bit sort of obsessed with getting my base up to a certain level and making sure I had these facilities. But it sort of had that hook on me, and I've not played this for very long. I've only sort of put about 3 or 4 hours in currently, but it was just something that I fired up on sort of Saturday evening, just while I sort of had a beer on the go, really. But yeah, like I say, it's on Game Pass. It's sort of, for what it is, it's fine. It might not be for everyone, but definitely worth a look, really.
Nice. Awesome, dude.
Yeah, so not really much more I can say about it, really. But
No,
I
fun,
don't,
yeah.
I haven't got too far into it. But I'm sort of, you kind of got your stealth elements. You can creep around, and you've kind of got a couple of interesting mechanics where if you're searching lockers or vehicles for kind of resources, you have a little progress bar. And if you hold it down, you're searching quietly. But if you hold the left trigger, you'll search a lot more quickly, but potentially you make a lot more noise.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're always kind of trying to play off the risk versus the reward. Do I want to get into this house really quickly, check for raw materials and get the hell out? Or am I going to do it really stealthy? Do you know what I mean? And just do it really carefully and as quietly as possible and sort of sneak in and sneak out sort of thing. But no, it's got a couple of interesting mechanics there for that sort of thing.
Oh, that sounds good.
Mm.
It also include the entire map for the original game as well. You can go and visit that, I've heard.
Yes, I
Because I
believe
think a
it
bloke
does,
at
yeah.
work loves it and
Pretty
played
cool.
it.
Yeah, I've seen that actually, but I haven't got that far into it yet. But I'm going to sort of plug away and just see sort of how I get into it.
Nice. Back to you then,
Definitely.
Darren.
All right, weird. We skipped through that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I will talk then briefly about. I've only put about 2 hours into this game so far, but I did actually end up picking up Atlas Fallen.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I didn't even know it'd come out.
Yeah, it came out around summertime, wasn't it? It was one of the first games I had this year that decided to sort of like just disappear into the ether, otherwise known as Royal Mail Tracked Post.
Oh, yeah.
So you basically play someone who's sort of like, I wouldn't necessarily say slave, but kind of like labour. Someone who's basically like a throwaway labour that follows around a group of other people that worship a certain god that I haven't really sort of got into too much as of yet. And there's obviously these sandstorms happening around the world, and something happens at the start, and you end up sort of getting into an argument with the group of people that you're supposed to be part of the caravan thing for. And then you basically get sent out into the wilderness to look for someone who's stolen something. And while you're out there in the wilderness, you stumble across a gauntlet that speaks to you. And basically putting this gauntlet on enables you to have like these abilities, which is like conjuring sort of like weapons out of the sand or whatever it is, thin air, to attack the denizens that patrol in the deserts, etc. So it's basically like you've got your light attacks and heavy attacks, etc. You can hold down the button to do stronger attacks, or just tap it for quicker combos, etc. One of the things that's actually kind of interesting a little bit with that mechanic is the more hits you land on an enemy, the more damage you will do, but at the same time you will take more damage. So it's kind of like you level up your attack power, but at the same time lower your defense while you do that, which comes into play a bit later on because you pick up these things that you can socket, like abilities that you can socket into your equipment. So when your combo meter reaches certain levels, you can activate these abilities, which are basically like your special moves, etc. around it. Shit goes down, you end up going off into the wilds on your own with the gauntlet and the voice. And I've slowly been learning more about the world. It's almost got like an old mechanic that reminded me of Singularity in a way. Although in this, it's just basically finding old buildings that you can like raise up out the ground to then use as a platform to get out to other areas. It's a very weird game in one of the like with the presentation. So there are times when the presentation looks a bit like, this is like kind of 360 and PS4-ish.
Right.
And then there's other times when it looks really, really nice. It's kind of bizarre. It's like, it definitely fits into like what you'd call like a AA game.
Right.
It's like not one of those sort of like super AAA kind of things, but it seems to be pretty well made. This would probably be a game that people end up picking up in the Black Friday sales, etc., when they kick in, or maybe the winter sale or January sale. Like if you find it for around sort of £25-30, I think that's a reasonable sort of price for it per se. But again, it's not going to be necessarily for everyone. It was one of those games I think that probably would have done better if there was a demo for it, just to let people give it a go and see what it was like, even if it was just giving them the access to like those opening few hours. One of the more interesting mechanics, which is they always showed off on the video as well, is rather than actually running through the open world, you kind of like sand surf.
Okay.
So you're sort of like drifting, like surfing across the sands.
Interesting.
You sort of like speed up, slow down. It's just an easier sort of like way of traversing from place to place. But I think rather than this being like a full open world, I think it's like you'll get an open area. You can go around the area and do everything, and then probably you do something in the story, and then you'll progress to another area that's open, and then you can do the same there, and that kind of thing. Rather than it just being like one ginormous open empty area like Forspoken was or something.
Mm.
So it's sort of more condensed. And to be honest, I prefer that, because if you're someone like myself who wants to look everywhere and try and pick everything up in an area before moving on, then that's a little easier to manage.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I was sort of like, I played it, ended up playing it for a little bit after Spider-Man, and I didn't get as pissed off with it, with the combat, as I did with Spider-Man. So,
That's a quote
Fair
for the
enough.
box.
kind
right
of
there.
weird. Yeah. Even though some people are like, you're crazy, mate. Like, but hey, it might have just been my mindset at the time. You know what I mean? Different, like if you're in a different moods, it can affect like what you're playing, etc.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, I understand that.
This is obviously, I'm talking about stuff I've now played like within the last 3 weeks, because obviously, or 2 to 3 weeks, because I wasn't on last week, etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get into new games then.
Oh,
As I've played some new games this week.
go for it.
3 of them.
Oh my word.
I know. So I'm going to talk about one that probably no one here has played at all, first of all, which Peebs made me aware of yesterday. It's a free-to-play first-person shooter called The Finals. So basically, it is like a game show type first-person shooter. So it's set up as a game show. So basically, you've got multiple teams of 3 players. So I just jumped in with a couple of randoms. And basically, the point of every match that I played was there's money, 1 pouch of money in the map, which one of you needs to go and get, and then you need to take it to one of 2 points to secure the money. And then when you're securing the money, a little timer goes down. So basically, you're all fighting over getting the money, and then you're all fighting over securing the money, because once you secure the money in a thing, a timer goes down. But as the timer's going down, other players on other teams can come up, kill you, and then hold the A button down, I don't know, for 10 seconds, and then they'll start stealing it instead. But it doesn't start the timer again, it carries on. So it's actually pretty cool, to be honest, because you're all kind of like fighting over that money, like getting it and then securing it. So it becomes quite tactical, because there's only 3 of you, and you're just kind of like sitting in different spots to try and camp it or whatever, you know. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It has an announcer. It's like, welcome to the finals, and because it's free to play, obviously it's trying to say all the skins and accessories and all that bollocks, you know.
What's the presentation style on the game per se? Would you say what does it kind of remind you of?
It looks quite cartoony-ish. Not like Fortnite, but I think it's got quite a good art style in that cartoony thing, if that makes sense.
Is it similar? Does it remind you a little bit of, what was that weird PS5 game, like with the cars?
Yeah, I know.
That came out. It was like I think they made it a PS Plus game, didn't they, after a while?
Yeah, car combat, I can't remember what it was.
But it was mainly about the actual characters, wasn't it? They could jump out of the cars and then climb in other cars. Yeah, I was just wondering if it was similar sort of art style to something like that.
I mean, you'd have to have a look on YouTube or something. It's called The Finals. I'm not explaining it very well, but I had a good. I actually enjoyed it. I had a couple of games yesterday, and was pretty fun. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I'm not sure if there's any crossplay. I don't know. I played it on PC, and I thought it was quite fun. So for a free-to-play game, I think it. Hopefully, it does quite well. Because it's something different. It's not serious at all. But the tactics, I think if you've got a good team of three on there, I think you'll have a good time with the tactics. Because the maps are quite well designed. Oh, and the other thing I haven't mentioned is everything is fully destructible. You remember like the old battlefields where all the buildings would be completely destructible. You could blow up the walls.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's like that. Everything is destructible. So you could be. So if you know where the team are and they're camping, you just fucking use a big hammer or something like that, which one of the character classes seems to have, and destroy the walls or use grenades or whatever. And then the whole buildings can be demolished. So just adds a little bit of extra tension to it as well.
So what are you playing this on?
I was playing it on PC on Steam, but it is also available on console. So it is in early access and beta, but but it is available to play.
Interesting.
Yes, it is good fun. It surprised me how fun it was actually. To be fair, so
Always. Does this make up for it? Because I heard that X Defiance kind of been put on indefinite hold, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Which is weird. I know you said I'm not surprised, but I also heard the opposite of I know a lot of some people with it didn't particularly like it, but then I also heard there was a lot of people that thought it was really good and possibly a challenger for certain other games in that genre.
Yeah, but X Defiant is Ubisoft, isn't it? So that's what I was saying. I'm not surprised because they have a bit of a reputation for killing off games in beta or very soon after release like that.
It's almost like they don't know what the fuck they're doing as of recent years, is it?
Well, they release them. So I do give big props to Ubisoft in the fact that they try new things, like that roller skating game. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Roller Champions or something, isn't it?
Yeah, but they kill these games off because they did bring out a year or two ago a PUBG type game, and then they killed it off within 6 months.
Oh yeah, you're on about that, the one that actually had a good premise where you were kind of all going into like a virtual reality thing.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought that was actually a pretty good idea. It just obviously never caught on or did well. And then even if you look at stuff recently like Assassin's Creed Mirage, that was originally supposed to be a DLC for Valhalla that they just turned into a full game.
Oh right. Oh. Wowzers. It's Ubisoft for you, mate. So that's what I say. I'm not surprised, but yeah, if you fancy downloading the finals, check it out. It's pretty fun.
So look it up.
Yeah, do it. Back to Graham, I guess.
Well, I've been doing a lot of gaming this week. I mean, I've been sort of chugging along with Bolt Gun in the background. But I've jumped into quite an old game actually this week, which I've sort of been playing quite a bit. I've been playing Burnout Paradise, the remastered.
Great game.
Classic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I downloaded this. I mean, I had this on my 360, and I think this sat on the hard drive of my 360 probably for about 3 or 4 years at one point. And this game... Yeah, I mean, this used to be my game that I used to play when my who turned 17 last week, when she was basically a little tot in her sort of chair, and I'd have to come down in the dead of night to do the feeds, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And it used to be my comfort game. I used to stick that on in the background while I sort of rocked her to sleep with my feet. And just held the controller with my hands and just sort of racked up and did races at silly o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, having, attended to her just to sort of let the missus have a bit of sleep upstairs. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. And, I've sort of jumped back into it, really. And it's a game I don't know if it needed remastering. It looks fine. It's it is what it is. The only thing is I still not a big fan of the sort of the navigation using the D-pad.
Yeah.
I never really enjoyed that, and I never found it very intuitive. But it's still a good-looking game, and it's on Game Pass. So what? Why wouldn't you jump in and have a go? Really, it is what it is. It's a good game.
You do know how to make us all feel fucking old, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean the fact that my daughter turned 17 last week, I have no idea how old that makes me feel.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, from the age of about, I don't know, we're talking, she was 1 or 2 in her little chair, having been fed, and then I'd bounce the chair with my foot, trying to make her nod off while getting a better lap time. You know what it's like.
Yeah. Well, that brings me back
But
because I used to play that on with Cole 360 and Peebs back in the day.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Harold, do you remember the 360 camera?
Oh
Yes.
yes, I'll never forget the windmills on Uno.
You could use it to stick your fingers up at people when they took you out and stuff, because it would take a snapshot and stuff, wouldn't it? But I always find Burnout Paradise to be sort of almost like a weird enigma of a game.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because every single person I knew liked the game, and everyone I know thought it was really well done, but it's never had a sequel.
No, and it does somewhat feel, because it's so open world and so open ended, it does feel a little bit sort of diluted in a way, almost.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, because the older games, where you just selected a race.
They were they were very I mean, like Burnout Takedown back in the day. I mean, I'm going back to PS2 days, but blimey, that game, the amount of hours I spent playing that is embarrassingly long amount of hours spent on that game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Was it Burnout Paradise that invented the sort of ride-along events that a lot of other games kind of took on and ran with, where you go around in a group and you do all these challenges in different areas?
Yeah, that was in Burnout Paradise, yeah. So good.
I'm curious as well, because the creators of Burnout Paradise were working on another game, weren't they? They split off and became Three Fields Entertainment, and they were working on a game that they teased right at the start of this year. So I reckon that's probably not coming out soon.
Well, I'm surprised they're still going. So sorry, mate. Go on.
No, but I mean, what was the game called? Recreation, wasn't it? But it was like WRECK, Recreation.
See, I remember because they brought out some golf game thing, and it was absolutely shit.
Yeah.
But I do remember.
Then there was a Crash game they did after that, didn't they?
Crash, yeah. Yeah, that was reasonably okay. That was like one of those little. It was like an arcadey 360 arcade game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they've sort of done a couple, and.
But I remember them well, because when I worked as a postman for a couple of years, many years ago, and when they left EA and became Free Fields, I used to deliver their mail.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's quite a small world.
I know a lot of the developers all went off to work on Need for Speed, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those iterations, because they did put the ride-alongs and stuff into Need for Speed.
Yeah. And the guy
that's the franchise that could come back. Sorry.
Yeah, and the guy who ran Free Fields Entertainment, Alex, who used to run Criterion.
Yeah.
My missus was a friend with his missus, so I used to go around his house sometimes.
Right.
And in the bathroom, he had all the old trophies and shit like that from all the awards they'd won, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Trouble is, Need for Speed's not what it was really either, is it?
No.
Well, like we've always said, Burnout Paradise to me was like almost the beginning of what you could do with a live service game in an open world like that, because it was almost treated as such. It had multiple DLC spread throughout the year. You had like the Ghostbusters car, the DeLorean, and all that kind of stuff was added. And then they did like, was it the Hot Wheels?
Yeah, the mini cars or whatever, and the bikes.
Stuff added to it, yeah. And it was just constantly added to. And I thought, well, if they bought one of these out into like the PS4, Xbox One era, they could have done the same thing, launched it within the first couple of years, and then just supported it for like about 3-4 years afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's not like a series you'd have to pump out every year, every 2 years.
Yeah.
But then, like we said, they haven't released one since.
It's a real shame, really.
In fact, thinking about it, we've seen a real dip in the amount of just arcadey style racers like that.
I just don't think they sell as well anymore.
But
I think that's the problem.
They used to, didn't they? Otherwise, they wouldn't have made them, really. I think the only one that ran into a little bit of shit with sales-wise was Split Second, wasn't it? I don't think that did particularly well. And maybe Blur, because I think
Blur
they both came out around the same time. But yeah, Blur was a really good game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you almost sport for choice for those type of games on like the 360 PS3 era, and now they're few and far between. Even like the more futuristic ones, like your Wipeouts, etc.
Yeah. It's a shame, really.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
maybe it's because
really.
they can't sell you copious amounts of DLC skins and stuff.
Yeah, probably. Probably exactly that.
Who's next? Was it you, Darren? Did you just
I
go?
believe so.
Yeah, go on.
No, I think it's Darren now.
Anything else, mate?
Yeah, I've got a couple more games I'll talk about. Cry Machina, I picked it up this week.
Ooh.
I haven't actually progressed far. It came out on Friday last week. There was a demo for it. I talked about it before. It was on. It's on the PS5 and PS4, and you can get a demo for it on both, but it's only the PS4 version's demo.
Right.
But it's kind of a weird, melancholy game about humanity dying out and being replaced by sort of like the AI souls of people inserted into robots.
Oh, I do remember you talking about this now, yeah.
Yeah. So at the start of the game, it sort of explains that like 20% of the human race is eradicated by a disease that basically paralyzes you and hospitalizes you, and there's no cure for it. And then after that disease broke out, there was like a fight between the rest of mankind over resources, and they virtually went extinct. But they fired a rocket off out into space, which is run by 8 AIs that were studying the sort of like different things of humanity to try and restore humanity to take it somewhere else.
Right.
But these AIs have all gone weird and crazy. So they're sort of now bickering amongst themselves, and the one that's trying to re-establish life is working on her own, reanimating sort of like fragmented souls from data of people into machines who are then fighting back against these other AI machinas. They're actually known as ex-machinas in it. To basically re-establish humanity and be known as a true human, because the person who's known as a true human then gets to order all the rest of the machines what to do, because of the old 3 tenets of like robotics, where it's like they're meant to serve a human, like they can't go against the human order.
Right.
It's a hack and slash game basically.
Okay.
With your different moves on your L's and R's, and like your attack, light attack, finisher, launcher, all of that kind of sort of typical hack and slasher you get, but it's with like humans inhabiting robot bodies.
Right.
It's an anime styled title, and thankfully, like yes, the PS5 version has got better resolution than what it had on the PS4, which it still looked fine before, but when it comes to sort of cel shaded anime style games, the better the resolution, the much better it's going to look because of the art style. The like the black lines and the outlines, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
That
yeah,
sounds good.
I've been enjoying that anyway. I say enjoying, the story's not exactly a happy-go-lucky fun time. Like, it seems each of the three consciousnesses that have been revitalised to start fighting back, they've all had none of them actually like humanity. They've all had like really horrible experiences throughout their lives that's made them mistrust and hate people.
Right.
So I'm guessing as you go through and you're trying to fight to regain your humanity, you're probably going to learn more about their past backstories and traumas and how to overcome all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
For the greater goal. That's what I'm guessing anyway.
That sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome, dude. Super cool. Well, it's back to me then, I guess.
Go for it.
I'll say brand new remasters, if you want to call it a remaster. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection.
There we go.
Oh, how is it?
I can see online that people have been bitching about it.
But it's low effort.
But I played through and completed Metal Gear Solid 1 in like 3 days because I was fucking loving it. So, now I got it on the Switch. So, played it on my telly from the Switch and handheld, and I think it looks and runs fine. I mean, they haven't up-resed it or upgraded it in any way. It is the PS1 game, right? But as someone who is a mega fan of Metal Gear Solid, the franchise, and is a mega fan of the first Metal Gear Solid game, I didn't give a shit. I just saw it as another chance to play through it again, because the last time I played through it and finished it was like 25 years ago when it came out. And I loved it back then. Absolutely loved it. And I've never gone back and played it. So it gave me a really good excuse to play it again. And the first thing I forgot was how short the game was, because I completed it in 9 hours. Now, I remember, buying this game launch day as a 14-year-old, going around my mate Dave's house, and I sat there, and he sat and watched me play it, sat there and completed it all in one sitting back in the day. And that, those are the days when there's no internet, there's no walkthrough guides or anything. And I was playing through it again this week thinking, how the fuck did I figure out about the Psycho Mantis changing the controller port to port 2 back then? How did I figure that out? I have no idea. But I really enjoyed playing through it again, because I think 9 hours is a good length of a game. And it's done really, really well, because the actual world itself of Metal Gear Solid 1 isn't that big at all. There's only really a few areas in it, because it's all set in a base in Alaska.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, as they do to kind of try and prolong these older games. Yeah. And there's a lot of boss battles. You seem to just be doing a lot of boss battles, but it's still now, right? I would say, voice acting wise, fucking amazing. Even better than the voice acting in a lot of modern games.
Yeah.
Some of the David Hayter as main character. Liquid Snake, whoever the English voice actor for him, does a fucking amazing job. The story even resonates with me today about the nuclear weapons and war and terrorist organizations and secret government agencies and shit like that. I was just fucking hell, man. I remember why I loved it back in the day. And, you know, if you look past those PS1 style graphics, there is a great game in there. And I would even go as far as to say is playing it now, even though it's PS1 graphics, it feels like when I was playing it, it felt like I was playing a modern-ish game with stylized graphics. Does that make sense? Because you get those indie games which have like those stylized kind of graphics, old school graphics. It kind of felt like that, but
well, one of the main appeals to Metal Gear, anyway, generally, is those games just have the cinematic feel to them.
Yeah,
even
when
the graphics were just little sort of polygons and triangles, etc.
Yeah, like especially the beginning where he's swimming into the base, and it has that really good music and all the the credits, the pre-credits are rolling like a movie. Even now, I was just like, fucking hell, this game, like, it's so good. Oh, I loved it from start to finish. Like, every single boss fight is different, and you need to learn how to defeat them. Because I died a fair few times playing through it again.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember how to do some of the bosses, like what to really do. And then you kind of like, oh yeah, I need to do that. Oh yeah, that makes sense, you know. It's a fantastic game. Now, the collection itself has 3 games on it. Metal Gear, well, it's more than that. It's Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and one of the SNES, 2 of the SNES ones, or whatever it was. I can't quite remember now.
PSP ones on there.
No.
Not on there, is it?
No. But they are doing a
That's what a
collection
lot of
too
people
at some point.
about.
Yeah, because it's a Master Collection.
One.
Yeah, because it's called Master Collection 1. The weird thing about what they do on the Switch is it downloads them all as separate games. So they're separate games on your main menu on your console. So it's not like one of those collections where you load up the game and you select the game. It's, you select them just on that main menu.
Odd.
Yeah, which I thought was a bit weird. But what's cool is within the main menu of each game, it has the original booklet in there, instruction booklet that you can have a read through, which is pretty cool. And you can choose like different versions of the game if you want to play Japanese, American, or the PAL version. It has the VR missions on it, so that's really, really cool for Metal Gear Solid 1. So Metal Gear Solid 1, fucking amazing. Absolutely loved it. Couldn't fault it, really, to be honest. I know there's a lot of people moaning online, because I've read the Steam reviews, and the Steam reviews were saying, don't bother with this, just download the ROM and emulate it, because apparently that runs better and looks better if you do it dodgy. But obviously I played it on the Switch, so it didn't really bother me. Now, I finished 1, loved it, absolutely fantastic. I can't fault it at all, so all my notes are positive, really. And then I started Metal Gear Solid 2. I literally played it for about half an hour. Now, I did watch some video reviews of the collection on YouTube, and they were saying that the Switch version is the worst version for 2 and 3. They are based, so 2, and you're right, Darren, in saying it is a lazy ports, because 1 is the original game and 2 and 3 is literally just a lift and shift of the HD remasters that they put on the Xbox 360 or Xbox One. Was it Xbox One or 360? I think it was Xbox One. They just because they took them off the digital stores, the HD remasters of 2 and 3.
Right, yeah.
And then they put them in.
Upset about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they put them in this collection. So it's literally just the lift and shift. But on the Switch, they run at 30 FPS instead of 60. But I've played an hour of Metal Gear Solid 2 on the Switch, and it looked and ran fine, in my opinion, running around that ship. If you remember, it's all set on a ship. Well, I think the first half of the game is set on a ship, isn't it? And then the second half is somewhere else from memory.
I am still under the very strong belief that eventually we're going to get Metal Gear 1 remaster, etc. anyway.
Well, they're remastering another one at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, the third one, but it's not actually. They're not calling it Metal Gear Solid 3.
They're calling it
And
something else, aren't they?
In the timeline, it's the first game.
What? Is it? I can't.
Metal Gear 3 is set before the original Metal Gear.
I can't remember the time because it's been ages since I played them, and because I saw a video today. What's it called?
Yeah.
What's it called now? I can't remember the name of it now. I did put a video in the Discord. Give me a second.
Yeah, my theory is they're going to be redoing that one because it's first, and then the Snake Eater redoing that one first, testing the water, and if it does well, they're going to be like, yeah, we're remaking the first one because it's the first one that a lot of people, as much as I think the third one's my favourite, I still really loved the first one as well. That's one I'd love to see get a proper remaster, nicely, like an RE4 remaster style to it.
Yeah,
not
because I think
but
because it's really because it is it's a little bit jarring down when you're. I mean, obviously it's like I was saying, it feels like it's stylized now, but it's like when the characters are talking and it's just like a polygon head and there's no lips moving or anything, you know.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool, as you say, to see that redone, a proper remake.
Well, not only when you do that, you not only get to see obviously the characters' emotional reactions, like through their voice acting, you get to see it acted out on screen as well. And it gives it that little bit more oomph.
Yeah. But that Snake Eater, so Snake Eater is a remake of 3, yeah.
It's Metal Gear 3 Snake Eater, but they're calling it like Metal Gear Delta or something weird.
Yeah, it's got like a triangle on it.
Yeah.
So the video came out a little while ago, showing the new, like comparing the new and old graphics. It looks amazing, absolutely stunning. Like just
they showcased some of it at an Xbox event, didn't they? That happened last week.
Yeah. So
like just a little bit of footage. Yeah,
I saw that video today, and I was pretty much, I was very blown away. Actually, like fucking hell, it looks amazing. So
because it's a lot of the characters as well in the first Metal Gear. They're some of the ones that stick with you.
Okay.
Pretty well. Well, I think some of the characters in the first one are really well done. Like if you think of like a lot of the people you have, like Raven, Sniper Wolf.
Yeah.
And Psycho Mantis. I still think Psycho Mantis' introduction in a video game is one of the best character introductions I've actually seen for a character that I'm instantly like, what the fuck is this? What is going on?
Yeah, bloody amazing. I loved it on the PS1 when I originally played that because he reads your memory card. And he goes, so you like Castlevania?
Like Konami games.
Yeah, it was bloody awesome, man. They are so cool. Then he vibrates your controller, and then he can read what moves you're doing until you change the controller port. Oh, what a game. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I had a really good nostalgia trip this week playing through that again because it's one of my favourite games of all time. So yeah, playing through that again was just great, to be honest.
I mean, Konami, like, let's be real. Like, as much as I loved Konami as a video game company nowadays, and it is good to see a lot of these classic games getting redone. Hopefully, keeping a lot of the original aspects to the game as possible.
Yeah.
They are still becoming just a lazy company that is just remaking things that they've done before already. Per se, from what they used to be as a video game company, like bringing out all these different things. I mean, I'm surprised the Castlevania IP's been stagnant for as long as it has.
Yeah, because they did a really good job with Lords of Shadow, and then Lords of Shadow 2 was a bit shit, to be honest, compared to the first one, and then they've kind of left it after that, you know?
Yeah, strange.
Yeah. But no, I highly recommend the Metal Gear collection. However, with the remake of Metal Gear 3, is it like, would you really want to play 3 on that collection since the remake's out next year, I believe? So
I don't know. I would say yes. Like, I'd still say it's definitely worth playing, like 100%.
Yeah, but would you want to
Even
play
if it's
through it
just to get
now
yourself.
and then play
Yeah,
through it
but
again in
like,
a
I'm
few
looking
months or
forward to playing 3 again anyway. As long as they keep like certain story beats there, just seeing them playing out like much better. It's like what I'm looking forward to because I know these certain things should happen and these characters should be appearing, etc.
Yeah.
And knowing that already is sometimes awesome when you get to experience it again, but even hopefully in a better presentation.
Yeah.
Because, like, how many people do you know that played certain games back in the day? I've said it before as well. Like, I'm kind of pissed off certain games came out that early on in gaming. Because it's like, if you'd have done that game like with today's graphics or whatever and tweaked the gameplay a little bit just to tighten it up a lot, that game would have been fucking incredible and it would be stamped, even as it was for you back then, like timeless.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how it's done, the art style used to it or whatever, it will just always be looked at as being timeless and it just doesn't age. And it was just fantastic. Which is why a lot of us do get excited for remakes of old games. Let's be real. We just want to see them given even more justice. It's like, right now we've got the tech. Let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason a lot of those old stories and games are beloved from the people who play them. Compared to some of the stuff you get now that's almost just made to make money. That's the whole purpose it's invented. It's not there to truly, really entertain. It's just there for a company to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the good old days, eh? So, yeah, I highly recommend the Metal Gear Solid collection anyway, no matter all the negative things you hear from it. If you're a fan of the series, like I am, you will enjoy playing through those games again. That's the Webby review. So, back to Graham, I guess.
Well, another little game that I am playing in between other things, which I think everybody and his dog has been playing, is I've been sort of having a little blast on Vampire Survivors again.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, this game sort of occupies the same space in my head as games like Robotron. Really, it's a nice easy game. You pick it up, you switch it on, and you can sort of you can have a beer on the go, or it's kind of it's fairly chilled, but it sort of can get fairly intense at the same time. And I've actually gone out and I've bought all the DLC for it because
Well, it's dirt
it
cheap,
was
isn't it?
You break the bank for that. It's like
I spent like
£2.50
I spent like £2 or £3 on that. But no, I've been going through and I think it has recently had an update or is having an update.
I think it's had a couch co-op update where you can play couch co-op with someone.
And I think they've added another character and a bunch of extra levels as well, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But no, I've just been sort of wading in. I've only got sort of 20 minutes before I'm doing something. Let's chuck something on really, really simple. And that's my sort of weapon of choice, really. Just fire that up. And it's always a good time. You know, it is what it is. You want to make lots of things explode? That's the game of choice, really.
It's simple looking game, lot of depth to it.
Absolutely, yeah. There is quite a lot in there that
you can fuck your runs up if you're not careful by choosing the wrong power ups or just not paying attention to something that you've selected and then realizing like, oh, now I can't level that
no,
up.
I can't do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Or evolve it, sorry, because I've just taken the slot I needed.
Yeah, some of the synergies are quite worth exploring, aren't they? But so some of them aren't very obvious. Some of them it does sort of give you a hint. It sort of says, "Oh, you know, you're going to get the garlic upgrade, get the health regeneration, and then you kind of get like the sort of life steal ability, you know, that sort of thing." And it's like you say, it's on the surface, it's simple, But the more you dig down, the more sort of strategy and sort of smart choices there are to be made in it, really.
So it is one of those games. You might look at it and not get it, but if you play it, I think you just get it.
And
After
it's
a
worth
while.
mentioning that there is actually a phone version as well.
Oh yeah, it's on pretty much everything but your toaster.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one of them. What's it? The
Well, it's not
Razer
on
Kishi.
PlayStation. It's not on PlayStation yet.
Is it not? I've got one of those sort of backbone controllers, and if I'm at work and I'm feeling a bit unmotivated, I just sort of break that out and have a couple of rounds of Vampire Survivors while I'm having my sandwiches.
Take
Okay.
a couple of rounds. Those games can go on for like 40 something
Well,
minutes.
that's true. I think
Because
there's
you
a
get the
30-minute
ones.
ceiling, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a 30-minute ceiling, and you always do that because I used to be like, right, I'm gonna have my food in half hour, so I'll quickly get a game in, and then that game will last you 40 to 45 minutes because you survive to the end, and then you've also got to take in the time for you like getting your bonus lottery roll thing, or like
Yeah.
choosing the power ups you want because it stops the timer when every time that comes up, and you level up
Yeah,
and make
that's
a lot of
true.
choices as you go through the game, which will extend the playtime way beyond the 30 minutes.
Yeah. I got that. Yeah, but no, it's like I say, it's on Game Pass, and even if it wasn't, it is literally it's like a quid
£4.
or £2, isn't it, or something? It's not a lot of money, and I think that guy's done all right out of it, and I don't begrudge him that at all.
No, made like I say, I think it was possibly my number 2 game last year. Favourite game.
But it's one of them. You don't need a manual to play it. You just pick it up, shoot the things, pick up the orbs. That's all you need to know.
These people are like,
Awesome.
oh, how'd you play it? And it's just like, you just move the bloke around trying to avoid stuff while he auto attacks, and then you select the power ups and stuff you want when they come up. That's it.
Yeah,
Survive,
it's
mate. Off you go.
it's awesome. It's
And I'm
awesome.
still hoping that Halls of Torment eventually comes to the consoles. I know that's still in open beta on PC, isn't it? You played that, Webby.
Yeah, not
The one that's
loads.
far more Diablo 2 inspired. And the bosses actually
Uh,
have like mechanics to them and stuff that you've got to dodge and avoid and counter attack, etc.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I've only
done
had a
like
couple of
far
games
more
on
with
it, but I just couldn't. I just got too many games to play, mate. That's the problem. uh,
cool.
right, back to Darren then, I guess.
Oh yeah, strange one. I was looking through PS Plus. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, just to see what the free games were. I don't bother downloading any PS Plus games that you can get on disc or whatever. I just end up with like, if it's digital, I'll try it for free. If you're
Yeah.
going to give it to me for free, I'll have a bash at that. And Weird West was on there, and there was like a
Oh yes.
PS5 version of it. And this is a very strange but quite enjoyable game. Have either of you two played it?
No, I've
I
seen
think
it. I've seen advertised, but not played it. No.
I think I have tried it actually. It's a bit like a Wild West version of Diablo, really, isn't it? Almost effectively, sort of.
No, see, I had multiple different visions of what the game was from seeing like the screenshots and such. I thought it was going to be like a top-down isometric grid-based sort of game, but featuring like what in a Wild West setting. And then another part of me was like thinking, oh, it's like a twin-stick shooter.
Yeah.
But it's not either of those per se. It controls and you move your character around like you would a twin stick shooter, but it's a lot more chill,
Right.
in comparison to obviously a twin stick shooter. But it's very like story RPG sort of done as well. It's Devolver Digital. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure if they made the game or just published it. But you apparently play through a story as a group of different characters. So when you finish one character's story, you move to the next, etc. And the character I started playing at, you start the game, you're at the farm, and your son gets murdered and your husband gets taken away by cannibals. Because this is the Wild West, but it's like full of demons and weird shit as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you basically wake up, you're like an ex-bounty hunter or something, and it's the old traditional, like, oh, your son's dead, you've got to find your husband, meet me in town. I know you said you were done with this life, but it looks like it's not done with you. Go and dig your guns up, because obviously you buried your guns from your past life, etc. The typical kind of trope, but everything can be searched and checked pretty much in the game. You can end up filling your backpack with loads of shit like you're playing a Bethesda game. And a lot of it is actually useless and shite, so don't go around looting absolutely everything because a lot of it isn't worth it. You end up needing to pick up things like shovels and pickaxes to sort of like dig up bodies and bury them.
Right.
When you're playing in the game as well, so it's got that kind of thing to it. And when you use those items, they degrade over time and eventually break, so you're going to need to replace them. So you can't just infinitely just dig up all the bodies and stuff if you haven't got enough shovel durability to be able to do that. And apparently a lot of things, like if you obviously leave bodies open and doing certain things in the game, has negative effects on the actual world as well and what's going on.
Right.
So the game runs by a mechanic I'm not a fan of, but I kind of get why it's there for this game and how it's done. So it has a perpetual time system to it. So for doing so when you're actually going out doing certain missions or quests, it will say so many days left before this event happens, and it's up to you to choose which way you want to do it. And you travel between areas, so it's like a screen zone which you can go around, fully explore, loot, and do whatever you want in it. But then when you move out the boundary, it just brings up like an overview map of the different areas you can then go to. Going to each of those areas takes a certain amount of time. It tells you how long it takes to travel there. While you're traveling to these places, it's like a loading screen, but then you can get encounters happen.
Cool.
Like that pop up, like a wild animal attack, or you might come into like a seller's campment where they're selling goods, and you can sell off some of the goods and other bits you picked up, bounties, etc. You pick up guns, different types of guns. You've got like throwable items like dynamite. You can even shoot items in the environment like lanterns to set fields ablaze that the enemies might be hiding in, to set them all on fire.
Oh, nice.
Also, you run across plenty of different things in the game where you might help a certain character out or show kindness to someone, and they become like a friend for life, who's someone that can, like a character that can randomly turn up when shit starts going south to help you out. But you're obviously playing through these different stories. There's, like I say, this weird supernatural-esque element to it. So you'll run into like ghosts and like wraiths and things like that, and you're picking up like spirit essence, etc. There's perk points, all that kind of stuff to be found in the game, and there is like a kind of XP system. So some of the stat points you can put into your characters are for literally just that character, and some of the other ones you can put in are for every character when you're playing as them.
All right, that sounds quite interesting.
It is kind of a weird game, and it's got its own pretty decent, well done art style to it, so it sort of holds its own as it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I was thinking of West of Dead. Do you know?
Oh, right. Is that another one that's kind of pretty similar?
That one is kind of more like a twin stick shooter, but it's kind of almost like comic book in its style. It's very sort of noir almost. And I think it might have been on Game Pass. So I think that's where I'm potentially mixing the two games up. But I've just looked at the Weird West one, and it does look pretty interesting, actually.
Oh, I was thinking of a game I've seen where the like the box art is like black and white. Am I thinking of something else?
No, that might be West of Dead, actually.
Okay.
It's very sort of twin stick shooter, but it is extremely sort of. It's very stylized. It looks like a sort of, like you say, like a comic where it's printed with black and white, but with like a wash of a color, sort of over the top of the bits. Do you know what I mean? That sort of comic style, really. But yeah, I didn't really get on with it actually.
I was just like quite impressed with the way though that it was all done. Like the shooting for the different guns is obviously relative to the type of gun, so they're not exactly super fast firing. This is like the Wild West and stuff.
Yeah.
You have melee weapons as well. You can actually equip. Everyone you kill can be like looted as well. Basically, it's that kind of a game.
Okay.
And then if you've got a shovel, you can then bury the bodies and stuff if you wish.
That's pretty cool.
Or whatnot. But yeah, I've just literally done like a load of missions, went off somewhere because when you're doing some of the other missions, some of the people that help you out as well will give you like, here's a secret stash I buried at a grave site in so-and-so. If you want to go and check it out, you can have what's there for helping me out. And that might be another area that's completely out of your way. So I went off and did a few side missions anyway, and I've just gone back to town for the first time. And the first time you get to town, you can't really do a lot. Let's just say if you've played the game, you'll know why. But now I've got like full run of the place, and I've got like bounty boards open that give you like obviously timed bounties to do and track down, while obviously the real mission timer of the actual story of the game is continuously ticking down. So you've obviously got to make certain decisions about what you want to do. Do you want to hire an extra gun to help you out for the upcoming event, or do you want to try going it alone, or look for another solution, etc.?
Sounds interesting.
I don't know how much the game is normally. I think it's probably one of those games that I imagine hovers around like the £16 to £18 mark.
Okay.
For how it is. But yeah, well, if you've obviously got PS Plus, I think it's still on there. Well, probably won't be by the time you hear this, but if you've downloaded it, you've got it. So, but yeah, sometimes I'll just add them to my library anyway. So if I wanted to,
it's quite expensive on. It's quite expensive on Xbox.
How much is it on
store? On the store, it's £33.49.
Oh wow. Right, so it is kind of done for an actual like AA price per se.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show why there is obviously like I say, there's a fair bit to it for the type of game it is.
Nice.
Interesting.
All right, back to me then, yeah?
Go for it.
All right, last game we've been playing is another new release, and it is fucking amazing. Alan Wake 2.
I laugh because when I was listening to last week's show and you were like, oh no, I probably won't be getting hold of it and stuff. And I was listening and I'm like, you'll be playing it this time next week, mate, I tell you.
So, I'm just going to get a negative out of the way first, and it's only a small negative. I've actually got this on PC and Xbox. So PC version. So I've got not a bad PC, right? I've got an RTX 3080, really good CPU, blah blah blah, decent PC, right? My graphics card cannot run it with ray tracing on. I turned on the ray tracing and it was running at 20 FPS. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it is fucking like the amount of resources it takes to run ray tracing on this game. It's insane. And I can see why the console versions don't have the ray tracing, because it is such a hog. There's like a lot of the PC community been moaning about the specs required to run the game. at a decent frame rate. And I can see why, because I can see why it needs quite a high spec PC, because the graphics are fucking amazing. Absolutely insane. I mean, playing it on my Xbox Series X, it's got to be one of the best looking games I've played on that console. It is absolutely gorgeous. And on my PC, I mean, I can run it without the ray tracing fine. Max out all the settings and it runs between 50 and 60, which is decent. You know, I'm happy with that. But on Xbox, I'm running it on the graphical fidelity mode, and that's at 30 FPS because I watched a video interview with the creators, and they said they were just trying to push the boundaries with the graphics on this game, and they said the way to play it on console is the quality mode, but they just put the performance mode in there for people that just want that 60 FPS. But I think for like those sort of single player experiences, like 30 FPS is fine. I've played it. I played it about an hour on PC, and it looks gorgeous. And I played it for a couple of hours on my Xbox, and I really can't tell much of a difference at all, graphical wise. So that just goes to show how much effort they've put into the console version, to be honest, because it looks amazing. And I don't notice the 30 FPS on it because it's just so smooth. They've done a really good job with it, you know.
Well, I will say, are you playing it on a monitor or on a TV?
I'm playing it on my telly downstairs.
Because I will say, like, if any of you have actually, like, I don't know how many people out there might have had, like, bought a new television within the last couple of years or so.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of TVs now that kind of improve frame rates of things without you actually realising.
Right. I mean, my telly's quite old now, mate, to be honest. So.
Because there's like certain modes you've got on TVs now. The worst one is I've probably mentioned. You get like film mode on televisions now.
Oh yeah,
where like it makes everything look like it's been filmed on someone's phone camera or something.
Yeah.
And it just looks shit. Like you'll be sat there watching a film or something on TV, and you're like, "Why does this look terrible?" And you're like, "Oh right, it's got that motion smoothing shit going on."
Yeah.
And then every TV's got a different setting of how to turn it off and disable it.
Yeah.
Personally, that's great. It would be nice if that was just literally there for game mode only, because I don't know anyone that else would want it on anything else apart from gaming anyway.
Yeah. But positives, that is literally the only kind of negative, and it's not really a big negative anyway, to be fair. But my playing this game, wow, my jaw has been on the floor the whole time I've been playing it. It's such a departure from the original game. So the beginning, so the first few chapters, I'm not going to give anything away really here. You don't play as Alan Wake, you play as this FBI agent woman, and because basically the story is it's been when did the original game come out? 2010, wasn't it? Around then? Yeah, so it's been yeah. So anyway, so it's all gone in like real world time. So the second game is set 13 years after the first game because it's been 13 years since the game actually come out. So Alan Wake has been missing for 13 years, right? And all this stuff has been happening back in the original town. And these FBI agents turn up. And obviously I'm not giving away any story spoilers at all in this, but the way the story is set is really well done without giving anything away. Like really well done. I'm so impressed with it. And the other thing I will say is I think the original Alan Wake was a little bit freaky at times, a little bit scary for those people that kind of don't like being scared. This game is like on another level of scary. It's like I would say I would put it like with a Resident Evil / Silent Hill type vibe of scariness, if that makes sense.
I still think Resident Evil, as scary as it is, Silent Hill was a different level for me, because you kind of know what you're going to get with an RE game per se, whereas with Silent Hill, the whole purpose and fear of that game is you never know what the fuck you're going to see next. And that's almost more scarier than what you do see, but it's always there of like, what the hell's around the corner? What's going to turn up next? Oh my god.
So the way that they do this is they've made it very psychological. There's like, so I've not really come across lots of enemies. And I've read some reviews and they're saying that they've brought the amount of enemies down in this game, but the tension is there with the music and the setting and all that sort of stuff. And it's just because the graphics are so good, like you're walking through the woods and you hear all the sounds and then it starts going a bit freaky and you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my god, yeah, my initial impressions so far are very positive. I mean, as I say, I've not been able to get a lot of time into it because I only come out Friday. Obviously, I was working all day. And it's been an F1 weekend, and the F1's been on in the evening, and that's usually my gaming time. So I've not really put a lot of time into it, to be honest. But so I'm up to chapter 3, which is still quite early on in the game, I think. I mean, I don't think the game is mega long because Sly's already completed it. But
let me know.
I know
it's reasonably quick.
Well, that's what she said.
What took him so long?
Yeah, but anyway, it's really well done. I'll say that. Really, really well done. So the areas I've been to at the minute, which have really blown me well, the first area of the game is the lake. Yeah, so you remember the lake in the first game?
Yep.
Yeah, that's first. So it's all like locked down now. It's all fenced off because of what happened in the original game. But something happens, and the FBI agents, and you go there, and you're exploring the woods and the lake and all that cool stuff, and it looks stunning. And then, do you remember in the original, the little town, which you go to the coffee shop? And that's about it in the original town. Well, you go around it a little bit in the first game, from what I remember. This time, it's an open world area, so you can just wander around the whole town, go into certain buildings and talk to people and do stuff, and it just feels very alive. And what's really amazed me is like that original diner looks exactly the same as the first game, but obviously the graphics have vastly improved now. So it just looks gorgeous, and the whole town just looks stunning, And it's at that time, like the first game, where Deer Fest is happening. So you've got the floats around the town and all that sort of stuff. And it just feels very immersive, It really, really does, because you can just kind of just go anywhere. And I think what happens later in the game is you can pretty much just... you have a car, and it's kind of like a fast travel thing, and you can just go to the car whenever you want and go back and forth between the destinations in the game. That's what I've read anyway. So because apparently you can just go, like, to get the collectibles, you can't really miss them like in the first game, because you can just go back to the old areas and go and get them.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But I found a few collectibles already. The coffee flasks are back, and there's like stash boxes, and it's just amazing. Like, and it's not just the graphics that really amaze me; it's just the story, which I don't really want to give away. It's just the way that they've done it. I think is just really, really well done. Like they've actually said it. 13 years later, things happen. There's a little nod to Control as well, because I know they're set in the same universe, and there was some DLC in Control, which linked to Alan Wake as well.
Or was that the actual main game, the Signal?
What's that, mate? Sorry?
The Signal was that was for the main game, wasn't it? The original.
Yeah, that was DLC. Yeah, I'm talking about Control though. The game Control.
I was trying to remember what the Control DLC was called.
I can't remember either. But I don't know because I never played it, but I watched a video of it instead because I'm a lazy ass. But it's amazing, and I know it's digital only, and people are moaning about that. However, it's not a £70 game; it's a £50 game. On PC, it's £40. So really, compared to like most next gen titles, it is quite a bit cheaper. But it is digital. I mean, I use some of my Bing points to bring the price down on Xbox anyway. So that was fine. But yeah, it's digital only, which is a little bit of a disappointment to a lot of people. But it's an amazing game. It's probably, it is probably one of the best looking next gen games I've played, to be honest. It's a true, I would consider it graphical wise a true next gen experience. If you enjoyed the first Alan Wake, you know what you're getting story wise. But I just like the way they've changed it up, where the environments are now open, and that you chop and change between characters, because you chop and change between this FBI agent lady and Alan Wake, and you can do the kind of their stories, whenever you want, apparently, until you get to the end. Yeah, so it's a fantastic game, and already I can say from my experience, my early experience at the minute, it's going to be up there on my Game of the Year list, because at the minute I don't see it faulting. It's fucking amazing.
Cool.
So, yeah, I look forward to talking about it more next week, because obviously this week in the evenings, rest of the evenings, I'm going to be rinsing it, I think. So, yeah, it's great.
Cool.
Dan, that's me done. Any of you guys got anything else?
No. I have very, very briefly tried a game on Game Pass, because I saw it mentioned, or somebody I listened to on another podcast was talking about this game, and they said it was on their Game of the Year list, and I'd never heard of it. It's a game called Tunic. Have either of you guys heard of this game?
Yeah, he plays a little fox. Yeah. It's like a Zelda game, but he plays a little fox.
I kind of jumped in, and I've sort of done a couple of hours on that. But apart from that, I'm really not too far into it. But
I'm sure that came out last year, not this year.
I think it did come out last year, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah.
But no, I was quite intrigued by the way you sort of you pick up pages of the instruction manual as you go along.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite an interesting mechanic.
It's cool.
But like I say, I've only done about an hour on that, or an hour or two, so I haven't really got a lot to say about that at the minute yet. But that's the only other thing I've really played.
What about you, Darren? Anything else?
No, nothing else really, apart from sort of in and out daily stuff, and
yeah,
spoken about it many times.
All right, fair enough. News-wise, then, I've only picked up a couple of bits of news this week. So one of them is there's been a little bit of an uproar online about this new version of the PS5, the Slim, with the attachable disk drive. So if you buy the disk drive separate and plug it in, you have to have an active internet connection to get it to work.
Yep.
That does seem kind of weird, isn't it? And isn't it just for the initialization of the system?
Yeah, I read it's just for the initial
only have
setup.
to do it once, but it's still kind of restrictive in the fact that you might have bought that version of the system because you'll live in some like an area that doesn't have great internet or might not have internet.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hold on a minute, why isn't this drive working?
Yeah.
Does seem a bit of an odd choice.
Yeah, it does seem weird. I guess it's to stop that. It's making sure that it's their own drives that have been officially licensed to be used that are actually being used on it, rather than another company just making their own cheap and nasty versions of it and just tacking it on.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's some of the feeling behind it. Because you could have a company that just tucks on a shitty drive and it works, but then someone's system bursts into flames because the drive was like some made in God knows where edition, and then it all falls back on them.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if some of it's driven by the fact to maybe stop people like modders, going, oh, we'll attach, we'll attach a 10 terabyte SSD to it and throw all of our games on it, and we'll sort of, run homebrew versions of this, that, and the other. Nudge, wink, wink.
Or another
probably
drive that'll
still
run
do that.
copied discs or something.
I mean, they'll still probably end up. People will get round it because there's always generally just always a way. Yeah. So, but I think that's part and parcel. But it just does seem a bit stupid and unnecessarily, and pretty much it goes against the point of actually having that version of the system.
Yeah.
In
theory.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, have you got the news about apparently Microsoft are banning unlicensed third-party controllers and accessories, etc. from
next month? Saw this. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So apparently, if you're using certain controllers and things that people use for cheating and all that such, or non-licensed controllers, you'll get notices start coming up on your system apparently soon, and then after a certain date, you won't be able to use them.
Right.
But I presume if you're buying like a Mad Catz or something like that, or any of those kind of makes, I think they're all legit. They're perfectly legit. They're licensed to do them. I think they're on about again, dodgy, weird companies just making their own random shit that runs on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because there's like these cheats things where you can use you can trick it into thinking you're using a controller, but you've got a mouse and keyboard plugged in. And
I mean, look at China. You've got China that sell all like those emulator boxes and stuff you can get, and they will come with like weird, random, fake, dodgy version controllers of like old consoles.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, they'll be using all of those. That's what I'm guessing it's for. So people that are getting worried, I wouldn't be like. I don't think any of us have been buying ones that are like down the £10 market stall, like on a Thursday or whatever.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. My only other bit of news is Microsoft. So ZeniMax Studios.
Yeah.
Are now having to report to Xbox because they were just on their own, because obviously they got bought out, right, as part of the Bethesda buyout and all that. But I don't think Xbox have been happy with the quality of releases, so they've now not independent to push the games out. They're having to report to Xbox now properly.
For God's sake.
Yeah. For quality control purposes.
I mean, could quality control for a lot of these games even just come down to the fact that studios are getting fought over and purchased while they're actually making the game.
Yeah.
Is that actually going to have any effect on the staff and the work and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it might, not
knowing what's going on with their employment, etc. And
well, if Microsoft had
which
proper
system
quality
are they making the game for?
If they had proper quality control, Forza wouldn't have released in such a fucking broken fucking mess. So
you could say that with a lot of companies when it comes to the quality control. That's what I like. How many games that have been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back have launched like super broken or fucked? Like virtually none of them that I can recall, unless it's like some dodgy Kickstarter game.
Yeah.
But in general, they've all come out and actually seem to work a lot better than some other games. But then I suppose you have still had issues with some games that were put back multiple times, and they've still come out with issues. Like Redfall, I believe, was one of them.
Yeah.
That was pushed back at least once or twice, wasn't it? Maybe more, and it still came out like that.
And they've recently pushed an update out, and it's still fucking shit, apparently. But yeah.
Oh, each to their own, I guess. It seemed reasonably fine, but it's one of those things where like this game is reasonably fine, but then there's another part of you that could be like, well, I could be playing something else.
Yeah.
That's not like that's obviously a lot better. But.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's about it, guys. To be honest.
Nice.
So,
Oh, did you talk about the Dawn Troll news?
What's that?
The Final Fantasy FanFest news last week?
No.
Oh, no, I think we have talked about it before, didn't we? When they did the American original reveal of the storyline going off to the Isles.
Oh.
And they unveiled the new class at FanFest like the weekend before last.
Oh, right. Oh, no.
Which is Viper. It's a dual wielding sword class.
Okay. I did see a video comparing the current graphics to what they're doing with the graphical updates. It looks quite cool.
Yeah, the spit and polish.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else, to be fair. Not really been keeping up to date.
Yeah, well, the EU one's usually the one in the middle anyway, so you get all the initial reveal at the start, and then on the last Japanese one, you'll get the full details and such. But I'll talk about it about another time because we've been going on for a while, I think.
Yeah, and I'm melting in my little room at the minute. Right, so I've been playing Forza for the last hour while we've been podcasting, and every race I've had has been awful with just people just ramming everyone off the first corner. Like, it's just so dirty. In like the first week, it was really clean, and now it's just really fucking dirty. It's just zaps all your enjoyment out of it, you know. It's very frustrating.
No need for that, is there?
Yeah. Cool. And on that happy note, I think we're going to end it here since we've been going for over 2 hours. I want to get cool and maybe play a bit of Alan Wake 2 before I go to bed. So
sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
So from me, Mark Webb, Gamertag, PSND, SteamID, Webby360G.
And that's Graham or GHAM OX14.
And Sensei Switch.
So thank you very much. We will see you next week. Goodbye.